Hey everyone, today we are going to do covalent bonding. All right, so just a little review. Remember, covalent bonds are formed between nonmetal atoms and it involves the sharing of electrons. So let's take a look at two chlorines here. I'm going to use two different colors. So one chlorine, each chlorine has 7 valence electrons, and that's always a good place to start is by drawing the valence electrons. The other chlorine, right, also has 7 valence electrons. So you might think, well, can't one chlorine just give to the other chlorine? Well, both chlorines would not be happy or satisfied because one chlorine would have 6 valence and the other would have 8. So is there another way to do this? And the answer is yes. They're going to form what we call a covalent bond. So what's going to happen here is that they're going to share these 2 electrons in the middle. Okay, those are shared between both atoms here. So when we count all the valence electrons, we'll actually count a total of 8 for each atom. So 2, 4, 6, 8 for this chlorine, right? Remember these 2 in the middle are shared. 2, 4, 6, 8 for this chlorine. And this way, both chlorines are happy. So they're going to be sharing those electrons. To represent these shared electrons, we're going to draw a line instead of 2 dots. So every 2 dots represents 2 shared electrons. Okay, so we have a line between the 2 chlorines to represent those shared electrons, and this is going to be our chlorine molecule here. Okay, so we've got the atoms, and then this is our molecule. For those of you filling out your worksheet. Okay, let's move on to the next example, water. You should know the formula for water is H2O. And so how would 2 hydrogens bond with an oxygen? So let's try this one together. I will start with oxygen here. Oxygen, of course, has 6 valence electrons. And then I'm going to use a different color, and I'll draw each hydrogen like so. And so the key thing here is that unpaired electrons, single dots, they want to pair up. And we're going to pair these up and form single bonds. So basically what I like to do is I simply connect the dots. So these unpaired electrons are just going to form a bond. These unpaired electrons form a bond. And there you have it. You have a water molecule. Okay, and we can check to see if each atom is happy. So let's count. 2, 4, 6, 8. That oxygen's happy. And so hydrogen is happy with just having 2 valence electrons, which each of these do. Remember, each line represents 2 shared electrons. All right, we're going to keep going through these examples. So again, I drew each atom. We see that each atom has a full energy level, and each shared pair of electrons is a single bond or a line. Let's try carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide here, I'm going to redraw these. So carbon is going to go in the middle. So carbon is usually the central atom. Oxygen, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, make sure you're drawing each atom as well. So those are the atoms, and now I'm going to try to draw the molecule on the right side. So for oxygen, again, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we'll say 6 here. So just like before, we want to connect the single dots. So here we have single dots here, single dots here. Now you'll notice we have extra sets of these single unpaired electrons. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing. We're going to connect them. And so this looks a little funky, but what we just formed is what we call a double bond. Whoa. So same idea, single unpaired electrons still want to pair up, but now we formed what we call a double bond. Okay, we formed actually two double bonds. And so this is the Lewis structure for the carbon dioxide molecule. This one looks a little cleaner, of course. But that's the idea, is that we're pairing up these unpaired electrons. Let's do another example, ammonia. So we'll start with nitrogen in the center. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 valence electrons. And then I know that hydrogen, each hydrogen has 1, so I'm just going to put each hydrogen around my nitrogen here in 1, 2, 3. There you have it. I've got my ammonia molecule. We can count to make sure every atom is happy, and we see that every atom has a full shell here. Whoops, meant to highlight that. So 2, 4, 6, 8, nitrogen is happy, and each hydrogen is happy with 2 valence electrons. All right, lastly, we're going to do HCN. So again, carbon is usually the central atom. So I'll start by drawing carbon in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll draw hydrogen to the left here. It's got 1 electron. Nitrogen has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 electrons. So hydrogen can only form 1 bond, so let's do that one. That's probably the easiest one. I'll use a different color here. That's 1 bond. And then carbon can form a bond with nitrogen here. And then notice I've got 2 more unpaired electrons here. And so what we just formed here is a triple bond. And if you want to redraw this, it looks more like this. Okay, so we're just pairing up unpaired electrons, really just connecting the dots here. So we did 5 examples together, and then you'll have 5 problems to do on your own. Here are some tips to help you. These tips are also going to be found on your worksheet. Okay, so make sure you review this video as you complete your worksheet, and come to class with questions